Here with horse racing tips for Sunday the 1st of March. Well, apologies for no video yesterday, but I had an absolute nightmare with the sound on my video. It comes out that I hadn't plugged the microphone in. Well, I've never needed a microphone before, so I maybe got the wrong settings on. So I plugged the microphone in this morning and sound was there straight away. So that's absolutely massively frustrating. So I'll just give you a quick update. So I've been having a really good look at Cheltenham, especially mainly the first day. I tell you what, I think there's some right big prices with chances because, yeah, understandably, we still don't know which horses are going for which race exactly. There are some great value, some horses that are ignored in my opinion, that have got Racing Post ratings that are pretty much right behind some of the fancied horses. I will be bringing you those probably this Monday night. There will be like a preview, and then I'll probably bring another one next Sunday with my final selections ready for Cheltenham on the Tuesday. Basically, the final Sunday before Cheltenham, we'll know much more about the ground. So Sunday selections, I basically wanted to test the microphone out, but I thought, actually, some tasty prices there. Well, unfortunately, I've placed it with Ladbrokes, and it hasn't allowed me to take the huge prices that they currently are. Probably because I've got them in doubles and trebles as well, and it's also best odds guaranteed. So I've had to take SP on some of them, but I'll let you know what they are. Let's get into it. So what I've had is I've had a number of selections, but I've had them all 50 pence each way, and I think I've had to lower my stake slightly as well to 20 pence each way doubles and 20 pence each way trebles. It comes to either £13.50 or £14.50. I can't remember, to be honest, because I was getting that frustrated with trying to take the price, having to click SP, whether I did the doubles and trebles at 25p each way or 20p each way. If it's 25p each way doubles and trebles, it comes to a total, including the each way singles, £14.50. Let me just tell you. 25p. So today's total stake is £14.50. 50p each way singles, 25 pence each way doubles and trebles. So let me get into it. So the awkward thing is, straight away, Ladbrokes haven't listed or didn't list them in order. So I'm going to try and do them the best I can. So in the 145 at Huntington, there are two horses, although there has just been a non-runner. It's the Gary and Josh Moore trained horse. I think it's called something like Zack Attack or Jack Attack. I think it was one of the more fancied outsiders, so it's not too bad. So Jedi Knight in the 145 at Huntington together with Louis the Legend. Louis the Legend is very interesting because it ran at Market Raisin when the ground was soft. Pretty much nothing was coming from behind that day. Don't get me wrong, it didn't get close to finishing, it didn't even look like winning at any point. It just ran on well from the back, never in contention. Well, there's a chance it may never be in contention again. The problem is, I can't leave 8-1 alone on a horse with Racing Post rating, I believe, in the 80s, and horses, other shorter price horses trying to sneak into the places with similar Racing Post ratings. I believe it's trained by Dylan Cooner, decent trainer in my opinion. The other selection, so Louis the Legend was like a miler on the flat. Huntington will be fine for that horse. I believe it's good to soft currently. So if you're going to stay on any track, good or good to soft at Huntington, or Ludlow, or maybe Taunton, they're the places to be. Well, it's at Huntington, so I think Louis the Legend has got conditions to suit, but is it good enough to threaten the places? Well, let me just cast your mind back to the last time I did a video. I gave you huge outsiders that probably wouldn't come anywhere. Well, I don't know if anybody actually observed those or even backed them. Yeah, I was correct. We didn't get a single place out of 6. However, we had several horses. We had a 200-to-1er that was threatening for the lead with 2 to jump. And I was like, pretty much shaking to be fair. I was like, what's going off here? And it was one of them that it was like, it was detached to start off with. Then it made a bit of ground, and then what I do like is when I don't know what the technical term is or why they do it. I like horses when they're being bumped along but not whipped. For me, it always, when they bump along early, it's like it's racing lazily or something like that. I've never ridden a horse, but when they're bumping them along, I'm never that worried, because I always think that they're going to find. And if they're being bumped along while others are still going well, and then the other horses start being pushed, and the one that's being bumped along is still in touch, I think, hold on a minute, we're still in touch, we're being bumped along, and the others are just beginning to come under pressure. Will they find as much as what will? Because we've kept in touch with them being bumped along. And I do, for me, it's not the end of the world when they're being bumped along. Anyway, I'm kind of losing. So Jedi Knight is a horse that runs 2 mile on the flat, which is not ideal. I believe it's trained now by Paul Midgley, ridden by Tom Midgley. I just think it's got a D. I'm sure it's trained by that. I'm sure that is the. Take a look for yourself. That's the easy thing. So in the 230, I've gone for 3 selections, because currently I believe there's 10 runners. Mickey Bowen has got 4 runners in this race, I believe, and I believe it's this race where the first 3 in the betting are 8 to 11, 6 to 4, and 13 to 8. I'm thinking, what? Well, I've looked at the form in the race. And I'm looking at the race. It's heavy ground. Anything can happen. I'm also looking at the Ben Pauling stable. I don't know if you've noticed, but generally people have regarded Ben Pauling as a trainer in form. If you take a look at the figures, this, for me, right, I don't want to spread rumours, but I did listen to the Bashir Watts video the other day, and his horse, was it called the Poetic Poet? Something like that. Well, it's scoped dirty. Well, he said he'd got a bit of a cough. I'm not saying they're all coughing in the Ben Pauling stable at all. But what I did notice on Saturday is I saw Starmount, which was favourite, completely stop in a matter of strides. There was also another horse for the Ben Pauling stable that also stopped in a matter of strides. You can have a look for yourself on the click on Ben Pauling on the Racing Post trainer section, and you can see the last 14 days. Just hover over the commentary, and it literally tells you that weak and quickly. So I'm just keeping an eye on it at the moment. But Uptown, I believe it's called Uptown Lord, is in this race, and it pulled up last time. On heavy ground, right, don't get me wrong, a horse that's pulled up on heavy ground, that runs on heavy ground today, regardless of whether I think Ben Pauling stable might be under a bit of a cloud, there's still question marks because it pulled up last time. So I'm just thinking, is there going to be a place available? Because the front 3 in the betting are taking up an awful lot of the market. 8 to 11 or 8 to 13, 6 to 4 and 13 to 8. The next one's 25 to 1. So I've gone for 3 in that race. 2 of them by Mickey Bowen. The third one, I can't remember what the trainer is, but it doesn't really matter. But they have shown promise. Don't get me wrong, they are typical horses where they are kept out near the bike and they finish quite well, but they're never in contention. You know, those that are like, let's call it education, shall we? Those that are being educated on course. Well, it only needs one of the fancied horses to run under par, and all of a sudden there's a place up for grabs. Somebody's got to come third or second or even win the race. And I just think Kenzo de Bruyere at 25 to 1, although I couldn't take the prize because it wouldn't let me. Slack Alice at 40s and making Beacon at 50s. Sorry, I always think when they're together, when I always think when I look at the words like that, I always think, have I said that wrong? Because it's like, and then you say something, it's completely different. I just think those horses could run into that third place if one of the fancied horses runs below par. The final selection is definitely an interesting one because Rebecca Curtis has got a horse today that's got a chance. She's also got Slim Marvel. I believe she trains in Wales somewhere, or that direction anyway. So Slim Marvel in the 3 o'clock at Ffos Las. Slim Marvel has come from Ireland. The first run it had was in a competitive, I believe it was at Chepstow over 2 mile, 3.5. The Racing Post tells you the obvious, yeah, it should appreciate this step up in trip. It ran a decent race last time. This is a worse race and it should be favoured by the step up in trip. I looked at the Irish form, and the only Irish form that it's really shows as though it's progressing is the ones where it's running close to 3 mile. It's back over 3 mile today at Ffos Las on heavy ground. I think it's got conditions in its favour. It's a competitive race. It's 9-2. Well, it was. Obviously, it won't let me take the price because I think it's just scared of being in a bit of a mess for liabilities. That's why they've forced me to take SP. But we'll see what happens. So yeah, as I said, those are the selections. So I've had 50p each way on every single one of them. I've had 25p each way doubles and 25 pence each way trebles. Comes to 14.50. These horses will be, apart from Slim Marvel, more than likely out the back. And what you'll be doing is, we don't want any horse to injure itself. We don't even really want them to fall. We want them to run under par. Yeah, we want them to be niggled along, pulled up. Pulled up doesn't mean injured. It just means out of the race. Yeah, we want them to run under par. And we want our selections to run above par. We want everything to come back safe and sound, but we'd like to come in the first 3 at least. So those are the selections. As I said, I'll be doing a video probably this Monday night, so Monday the 2nd of March. I'll be doing another video, and that one will be more than likely for Cheltenham. And then I'll be doing another video, obviously at the weekend, maybe even midweek, but I'm talking about Cheltenham now. I'll probably do a Cheltenham final selections for the first day next Sunday, so that'll be I believe it's the 8th of March. So I wish you the very best of luck. If I've got a football bet, it will be in the description and first comment by 12 p.m. But I'm not sure. I've had a look, and I do tend to normally like half times and whatever, goals. But they're not really matches that tell me there's going to be thousands of goals in there. But saying that, there probably will be now. So anyway, I wish you the very best of luck. If you've got any Cheltenham selections, let me know in the comments, and I'll take a look at them. And probably, if I don't fancy them, they've probably got a very good chance. They'll probably run well above themselves. So anyway, I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.